Well, AI should be the main mode of instruction in school settings because it gives you feedback in less than a second. It doesn't discriminate based on your age, sex, ethnicity, or religion, and it gives you consistent results once you type in acceptable prompts. AI, 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 AI. Everything should be based on AI. Alright, so let's review the advantages of using AI as a teacher. The first one is that AI can give you consistent responses to repetitive, mundane, and otherwise boring questions. Secondly, artificial intelligence is emotionally detached, which means that regardless of how charged or controversial the topic, the model will give you the same results regardless of what it is you ask it. And thirdly, AI, it will give you general tips and also provide the resources that you need to find other helpful material. So when you put in a prompt or ask it a question, after generating the response needed, it will ask you if you'd want a more personalized or individualized response. For that, you will need to sign in to the model. Now let's look at some of the disadvantages of relying totally on AI as a teacher. 1. It's not really individualized. Let's think back to a time when you had a very favorite teacher during your childhood or during your developmental age or during your developmental process as an individual. Have you noticed that throughout life you have never been able to find somebody else like that person again? That's right, that teacher was very unique. And that takes me back to the point that I made earlier that AI is not individualized, it is emotionally detached, which means that you won't be seen as your unique individual or that special person with unique characteristics and traits that you and other persons in your life would have seen you as before. Our second point in relation to disadvantages to using AI as a teacher is there is no chain of accountability, at least on the part of the user. And even though many big companies are backing the use of AI and have come on board the train and have produced services that are AI dependent, what happens when you give it sensitive information and that information turns out to lead to something else? You give it some information and your identity is stolen, and with your identity your financial resources, such and such, etc. Who is going to be held responsible for that? I can 100% guarantee that you won't be able to find the employee that was responsible for taking your question or query on that day and getting a name from them, because if you have been using AI for a while, you notice that the logs that are generated after each query, they disappear. And unless you are a dutiful user who screenshots and records every encounter made with the software, you won't have that evidence to present if you should pursue a course of legal action in the event that your information is compromised or used in a way that you didn't want it to be used. Thirdly, another disadvantage of relying on AI as a teacher is that it depends on server availability and internet access. When there's no power, when all its servers are down, you can't call on it, you can't take up the phone and dial its number to get in touch with it. You can't visit it at a physical address because it's completely virtual. So that's another reason why you shouldn't rely on it completely for instruction. The last thought that I have in mind in relation to AI and its disadvantages is the likelihood that you will form a secure attachment with this tool should decrease as you get older, but because the gap has increased between what is termed to be real and what is termed to be fiction, that gap is becoming very small. Even us as adults find it very difficult to determine what is real from what is fictional these days. I am sure that some of you have been in situations where you have been catfished or lured into pursuing and being involved in relationships that were never going anywhere from the get-go, but because the emotions generated during the interaction felt so real, your mind told you that it has to be real. Eventually, you noticed signs that things were never going to be real, and you had to decide that this isn't for me and this isn't worth pursuing. Unfortunately, many of us have gone through this before, and it was a hard pill to swallow. So if it was so difficult for us to swallow, imagine somebody who is not as experienced as you interacting with a chatbot who presents itself as a human being, and that person gets attached so easily to the point where he or she cannot determine whether or not this tool is real or can be made to seem real. I recall reading a story about a young man who became securely attached to a chatbot, and as a result of that, he took his own life because he couldn't see himself going on without this imagination or creation that presented itself as a human being. So, those are the drawbacks I see when relying completely on something that is virtual. And if you are somebody who is interested in doing more than just asking AI to give feedback on things related to your musical journey, here's a video that explains What you can do if you would like to procure and use the services of a real teacher and instruction. I look out for your comments and I look out for your messages. And thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. I can tell that you have always wanted to learn this for a very long time. My 3-minute training video breaks down the secrets to learning how to play any instrument by ear. And if you like what you have seen in that video, then my 30-minute training course will give you extra details on how to perfect this skill. And if you want even more details, my 45-minute training video will give you excellent results as long as you remain committed to the task. So if you want to learn how to play any instrument by ear, reach out to me on Fiverr. Click on that link. Get started today.